ever grown in a greenhouse setting or any type of enclosed area that understands the natural biological life cycle of plants and respiration, all that, when you start to realize how finite of a space we're dealing with here on the Earth, that while everything I feel like so far you've said is true, the one thing I feel like you've neglected to say is the effect of human deforestation, and that the amount of plant growth that would naturally be occurring and which has been basically burned off the face of the earth through human activity and practices. Meanwhile, we're sucking oil straight out of the ground and burning that into CO2, which sure the plants would love, and we'd be able to produce a bunch more oxygen, but that's not happening. So you're talking about a reality that's not real, because we're burning up way more CO2 than we're growing plants.
That's your reaction to that, Joe?
1/3 of the U.S. cropland is currently growing ethanol corn. There's a monoculture that is very harmful for the environment. It starves out the native plants. There's no milkweed involved, so you don't have the monarch butterflies are dying off. You've got all of that silt and pesticide and fertilizer runoff going down into your waterways, and you've reduced your biodiversity. So why would we take 1/3 of our cropland and produce something that you can burn in your car if you could just take the same thing out of the ground? The reason there's hydrocarbons under every rock you frack is because it's constantly being produced. There again, methane is a highly reactive molecule, and when you put methane gas in the atmosphere, it has a half-life of 4 years, because it's going to break apart from one combination of ingredients or another. So bottom line is, we're better off if we use the hydrocarbon fuels and we quit trying to manufacture hydrocarbon fuels that are net energy losers.
Joe, what happens if a couple volcanoes on the planet erupt? What kind of a mess are we in?
A couple of them is not a problem. A Krakatoa is something that you would notice.
And some are all connected.
Like Yellowstone is something that would be life-altering for majority of the life on the planet.
And there seems to be an underground connection, almost like tunnels, of lava flow. What do you think?
Well, the morphology of the mantle is something that we're all struggling with, and I've read as much current. I've spent 50, 60 hours a week for the last 8 years doing research. I retired, and I basically said, well, you're going to do all the homework you never did earlier in your life. And I got my first article published at InfoWars April of 2009. So it's been 8 full years of dedicated research. And I've read extensively on the geology. I'd say the best website on that is, again, Timothy Casey's site, geology-1011, down in Australia. He's got a great website with lots of really good information. But I'm not sure how they're connected, and all we've got really is just seismic data. Like I said previously, the deepest hole ever dug was Kola Peninsula in Russia, and they got down to 40,000 feet. Interestingly enough, they also drilled through Lake Volstek, and they drilled through 2 miles of ice. They recorded the lowest temperature ever on Earth, which was minus 89 degrees centigrade, which is below the freezing point of carbon dioxide, which is dry ice. You go to the store and buy dry ice.
Yeah.
There would have been no carbon dioxide in the atmosphere at Lake Vostok. And they hit water that was 40 degrees Fahrenheit and had over 2,500 distinct DNA profiles. They found multi-cell life underneath 2 miles of ice that could not possibly ever have sunshine, and had no other explanation for how the water was being warmed.
Let's go to Joe, Long Island, New York, east of the Rockies.